first Manny's experience. Can we give him a big Manny's welcome? So I dressed up today for the mayor. He gave me shit for it already.
Come on, Scoop.
Thanks, AJ.
Yeah,
I dressed down today.
What I told him was anyone here when I interviewed Mayor Breed? Did I not wear the same thing? So, I'm not giving him any special treatment. Hi.
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 Thank you all for coming out. This is very, very special. I think the last time, by the way, it's not the first time. I mean, I've been here many times.
Yeah.
But the last time was with Joe Eskenazi, like 3 weeks into after I announced that I was running, and I should not have done that because he is a very good interviewer. And I was very early on. People were like, I'm not so sure about that guy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You weren't here.
I was here.
You were here?
I was watching you.
Okay.
How is the Mayor Lurie sitting next to me here different than the Daniel Lurie who sat here a year and change ago? How are you different?
I'm not. I might have a little more confidence, but I'm the same person. I got into the race because I would get, what I saw on the streets was so, it was upsetting to me as a San Franciscan after 15, 20 years of working on poverty issues, housing, and homelessness, and I felt like I was seeing the same thing, and I was frustrated, with the leadership. And I just walked from 16th and South Van Ness, and guess what? I'm frustrated. And we have to do better. And so, honestly, if people who know me well, I think they see me, and when we're talking in private, Manny, like, I'm the same. And I think that's, you have to carry that humanity with you. You gotta look people in the eye when you're talking, like respect every single person. If there's something that I wish I could do is make sure I gave more people more time, including my family, which I'm not able to do outside of my 2 kids and my wife. But I take my kids to school every morning, and I'm able to be connected with the 2 of them and my wife, not as much with my extended family. So that's that gives me some, a little sense of heartache. But I'm not a different person. But I was meant to do this work at this time, and I will tell you all this. This is a secret. So JD, don't tell anybody at the Chronicle, okay? I love this job. I love this
Come on,
job.
that's your secret?
Yeah.
I want it juicy.
Yeah.
It's juicy. Your secret is you love this
We have an
job.
hour. We have an hour.
Come on. Okay, so you have been mayor for like 3 months, right?
No,
No.
not 3 months. Not yet.
I don't know. You haven't been mayor for very long.
No.
And for those of you who've been here many times, we've interviewed a lot of politicians. And you are unique in that you are a politician now, but you weren't a few months ago. And now you're running the best city in America.
In the world.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
We gotta be big and we gotta be bold,
Yeah.
Manny.
Okay.
I'll teach you about that.
Thank you. Wow, you're in my house. Come on. Guys, stick with me, okay? How do you think, so far being in the job as long as you've been, not so long, how have you already learned that you, having never done this before and not being a politician, has been an advantage, reflectively, and what have been the moments you're like, shit, if only I had been a politician for a little bit longer, this wouldn't be quite as hard?
Listen, it's a hard job, and I've respected everyone that has been in it before me. I've reached out. Mayor Brown. I saw actually today Mayor Frank Jordan. I've talked to many former mayors, and so it's a challenging job, but you asked first advantages. I think, being a little naive about just how hard it is to get something done, not being beholden to the culture and the bureaucracy, inside or outside, has allowed us to push through, to break through, and be able to ask the questions when someone says, oh, that can't happen, and you saying, why not? I had an experience in a meeting where I said, I was walking down 15th and Potrero, between 15th and 16th, and there was, 20, 30 people laid out, really struggling with addiction. And I brought that up in a meeting, and someone in the meeting said, oh yeah, it's always been like that. And I was like, oh, that is not the answer that I'm looking for. I'm looking for, what can we do to solve it? How can we get people off the street and into help? So there's this, sense in the bureaucracy that things that have been need to stay that way. And I don't know that. I don't have that mindset. My mindset is, let's go solve the problem. And that's a lot of the people that we've brought into government with our policy chiefs and some of our new department heads. And when we did, the things where I wish we had more experience, we have the experience around at the department head level. We have people that have been there 20, 25 years that are able to educate us, and they are. And something new that I'll tell you that I said I would implement, and we are implementing.
Is this the secret?
We have weekly large agency department head meetings. So the top 20 departments, 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. I did on the campaign say it would be Monday mornings. They're Tuesday mornings.
Wow.
9 a.m.
Promises made, promises not kept.
Yeah, there you go. So this morning, 9 a.m., 30 minutes, everyone is around the table. The rookies and the veterans. And I actually talked to Coach Kerr about this. Like, how do you blend a crew like this? And that takes time, but it also takes getting around the same table. So the things where we don't know, we can get advice and counsel. Our incredible Chief of Staff, Stacy Slaughter, was in the Frank Jordan administration. So she's got experience inside that building. She's seen the bureaucracy, but she's also had a fresh, she's coming at it with fresh eyes after 30 years at the Giants.
So let's go back to the example you just mentioned about all the people on the street. And it is a big part of why you ran. Your origin story was walking down the street with your kids and seeing what we all see every day in San Francisco and just thinking it's not okay. Has anything you've done so far, has anything been effective that you've found where you feel like we should be doing more of that? And again, just began a couple months ago,
yeah.
But what's working so far that you've tried?
Relentlessness. I think having a culture of, you're not going to say, you're not going to just say, no, that can't be done because it's never been done before. That sense of just making sure that you are just out every day, whether you're an outreach worker, whether you're, a Muni driver, whether you're, a DPW worker. Being out every day and saying, we're going to get you off the street, we're going to get you help, and just being out every single day. And me being out every single day, I think is a little bit starting to rub off on people inside the building and hopefully on everyone here. And by the way, some of this started with Manny, it started with Vincent at Refuse Refuse, saying, we're not gonna sit by and allow our streets to have trash on it. We're gonna go out and pick up trash each weekend. As mayor, I think the department heads, DPW workers, the Muni, they need to see a mayor that's out every single day. And I don't see success yet. Our expectations are sky high, but we're seeing little changes. We're seeing hope, we're seeing optimism on the streets, but we're also seeing some of the same struggles on these alleys. But we're gonna be out here every single day for 4 years, for 8 years, and I think it's going to catch on and it will work. We're obviously not there yet, but it's going to work.
Woo, woo. Yeah.
One last question on this. Obviously, it is the most important issue, I think, other than housing affordability. But how long do you think you're going to try this methodology, you call it relentlessness, before you're like, skirt, that's not working.
Yeah.
I think we need to rethink it. It's not effective. There needs to be another way. Like, are you giving yourself an internal timeline of like, let's try this for 6 months or the first year? Like, what's that look like?
That's a really good question.
Thank you. He's winning me back, you guys.
Public safety is the number one issue. Then I think it comes the behavioral health crisis, the homelessness. And honestly, what I feel like we're seeing more of on the streets is not a homelessness crisis, it's, I believe, a drug crisis. And the public safety thing, we are down, we are so short-staffed on police, we're down 500 officers. And in every community, every single supervisor, everyone says they want to see more officers walking the beat. Every single one, not one. You can't tell me that anyone isn't like, I'd like to see neighborhood officers walking the beat. And we don't have that. I would love to see them on Valencia. I'd love to see them on Mission. I'd love to see them on 24th and Judah and Terraville. I mean, friends out, business owners out in the west side tell me that there's drug dealing going on out at 46th Street near the ocean. This is not just a Mission thing, it's not just a 6th Street thing. This is a citywide issue where people, the crime stats are down, but people don't feel that sense of safety if they see the open air drug dealing and drug use. And so we are going to be relentless for, honestly, I think it's going to take us 4 years. We will see improvements, and some people have told me they're seeing improvements already. We will see improvements, but it's going to take us time. I'm not giving up after 6 months. I'm not going to give up after a year. Maybe I'll give up after 8 years.
For governor.
Wow. Let's do a quick straw poll. This is not shade, okay? No shade. Do you know what shade is?
I do.
Okay. How many people in the audience feel safe walking around San Francisco? If you do feel safe, raise your hand. Mazel. How many people don't feel safe walking around San Francisco? Okay.
Some of us have lived in the South Bronx.
Some of us have lived in the South Bronx. Okay, all right. You know,
How about, I was just at a meeting, and I appreciate, that's really good. I love, by the way, I'm happy to see that ratio.
All plants,
that's great. No, that's good. So I'm all in. Like, we are on the rise. This city is on the rise. There's no question. Things are getting better. There is no question. But I just had a meeting with a number of people in this room, a block from here, and I have a family of 4 who live on Julian, and they have 2 young kids, a son and a daughter, and the father came up to me and said, I don't feel like I can keep my kids safe. 100 yards from right here. So you're right, as mayor, I'm gonna go to that person and be like, that's unacceptable in the Mission District. And I do have a lot of people in the Mission District saying, safety is their number 1 priority. Having said that, I'm looking at the crime stats. They are down, and we should feel proud of that. SFPD is doing a really good work. Sheriffs, DPW, our ambassadors, Urban Alchemy. Like, there are groups doing really good work, and we are seeing an improvement, and we can get better.
Okay. We could spend the whole evening on this, obviously, but we have a lot of ground to cover. How do you think about housing affordability, like when you're tucked in bed at night and you're worrying about all the problems of the grandest city? Like, where do you contextualize it in your brain? Is it like, gosh, I wish it were more affordable because, like, is it because you want more interesting, cool people to be able to live here? Is it because you don't want people to have to be evicted from their house and they leave the city? Like, where is it in your brain?
I think I go right to our teachers and I go to our artists. I think, so what I say always, just back to, my focus and our administration's focus, public safety. Second, the behavioral health crisis. And third, it's permitting and making it easier for small businesses and for housing to get built. So when I tuck myself, does one tuck themselves?
I do. I create a little, I swaddle it myself.
You swaddle.
I swaddle. I have a lot of anxiety, so I swaddle. I have the blackout.
It's a tight swaddle?
It's a very tight
so
swaddle.
You can't move, you can't roll over?
I'm a bitty little baby.
Okay. And that's the moment it went off the rails. So for me, we lose our young families because of safety, affordability, and our public schools. So my mind goes to, it is critical that we get more housing built at all income levels, affordable housing, market rate housing, extremely low income housing for our seniors. So it's a big issue for us. We're, in the coming weeks, we're going to release the revised housing map. Everybody will, throw up their arms and say you're not doing enough or you're doing too much. We all know that we need to build more housing. We need to make this city more affordable for just about everybody. So I think about it, we think about it a lot in my administration.
So we were in my little closet office. We were in the closet together.
Very spacious.
No, very small. And I was like, you've had a lot of press conferences. You've announced a lot of things. And that's good, but it's a lot. So I guess my next question to you is there one thing you want this crowd to remember that you've announced or done in your first few months? Because there's like the permitting thing, and there's the redoing the streets team thing, and then there's the public safety thing. Like, what would you say is like the one thing you want everyone to leave this room, go to a cocktail party, and be like, this is something the mayor has done?
I think I want you to leave knowing that you have a mayor that is going to be tireless, that is going to focus on getting results. It's not just about the press conferences. The press conference we had today was we have amazing outreach workers and street outreach workers, and there were 9 different outreach teams reporting into 5 or 6 different departments. They weren't communicating well with each other. And that's, by the way, that's on the bureaucracy, that's on the mayor. And so we're changing that. We're having one centralized team. They're going to be unified. We're going to be going out in neighborhood teams. And there's going to be a real communications and coordination going on that has not been going on before. And so that all gets complicated, so I don't want you worrying about that. I just want you to know that you have a mayor that is going to be tireless, relentless on making sure that we get as many people as we can off the streets and into shelter, into mental health beds, into drug treatment beds, that we are looking to make our streets safe and clean so that our small businesses, our businesses can thrive again, and that we get more housing built. But really, that I'm out there working on your behalf every single day, and I love my job.
Okay, I'm gonna push you a little bit. I hear that you're relentless, and anyone that follows you on Instagram can see that because you're everywhere. You're at every. It's amazing. Your coffee, donuts, baseball games, press conferences. You're like Hermione.
I got it. I read them all.
Very good. But other than being relentless, and I know there's no silver bullet, but is there one thing that you feel like a change that you are in the process of making or have made that will result in become results?
You're going to, I want you to know that. First off, I want people telling me when something's not working so we can fix it. I'll get to you in a sec. A restaurant owner last night.
Well, not all of you right now. I mean, we'll be here all night.
No, but I want a restaurant owner on the west side last night was like, I don't want to bother you with this thing, but someone was trying to break into my. I was like, I want to know. we can't be responsive if we don't know. And so I think you should have a mayor and a mayor's administration that is responsive and that is action oriented and isn't just sitting in room 200 being like, oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
you know?
but Mr. Mayor, you're one man, right?
Yeah,
you can't have everyone bring their problems to you.
But we have a great new structure. We have 4 chiefs. It's no longer that 58 department heads report into one chief of staff. We have 4 different heads that are supporting those organizations, those departments, so that we have a flatter structure, that we're communicating, that you have department heads that for the first time in a decade or more are actually communicating with each other weekly, that they're out. I mean, police department, fire, DPW, DEM, HSH, HSA, they were all out from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. last night, out with the outreach teams and the hot teams. They went from 6th Street to Mission and 16th to Potrero and 16th. I mean, this is what you all deserve and you are getting, and it's not going to make every news conference. It didn't make Instagram. And you have a city hall and a bureaucracy that understands that what we've been doing, we have not been getting the results that you deserve. You're paying a lot in taxes. You deserve a government that is working for you, and you're going to get it. That's what I want you to walk out with.
All right. Let's talk about Instagram for a second, because I actually think it's important, because I know a lot of normal people. These are not political people necessarily, and something that you're doing is breaking through. How do you see social media as a tool for the work that you're doing, and is it working, do you think?
My wife about a month ago was like, so what are you trying to do with the Instagram? And I was like, I don't know, I'm just trying to communicate. You know, we did have this conversation, you know, because I think there's only one person that really is able to break through everyone, country, globe, and you know, that's the president. There's only one person, right, that can break through. But I do think that, you know, you want to see your electeds and you want to see your mayor like engaged and involved. And so that's not what I was thinking when we did this a lot on the campaign. And you know, when you have 2,000 or 3,000 people following you, it's different than 60,000 people following you. So now we get more feedback on it. But I think I want you all to see how much I love this city, because I know you all, if you're in this room, you love this city. And so, and I think I'm just trying to express to you all how much I love this city, and I don't think it's much more than that. And I want you to see what I see, and I also want you to know that, you know, I'm out there to try to support our small businesses, and I need a lot of coffee.
So I did notice that you don't follow anyone, though. So are you not using it as a back and forth tool for people who might want to give you
That's a
some
good
feedback?
question. You know, we did that. We have our digital team here. I won't embarrass, you know, Manny and Hawken, who do an amazing job, or call them out and give you their email addresses. We did that on day one on X and on Instagram and other things. I think just to clear it out. I don't think it's been a conscious choice not to follow people.
Okay. Like Manny's, for instance. Like, that was the question.
We'll see how the rest of this interview
Wow. You mentioned our president in your last answer, which makes me then want to ask you, what do you think of our president? Not what you guys think. I know what you think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Here's how I'm going to answer that. We as a city have all the resources and the talent to overcome the challenges that we face. You want me staying laser focused on San Francisco. You want me focused on that. I've talked to Speaker Emerita Pelosi about this. I was talking to our senators about this. I've talking to our Attorney General. I'm going to let others answer that question. My focus is on San Francisco, and that's where it's going to stay.
But what do you say to the San Franciscans who are either going to suffer or are currently suffering because of what's happening outside our city?
Different question. So that's a
There you
great
go.
question. I am going to stand shoulder to shoulder with our immigrant community, our LGBTQ plus community. San Francisco is always going to remain a beacon, a place where people can come, love who you want to love, be who you want to be. We are a city of immigrants. It's what makes this city so dynamic and so incredible. And I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder and have their backs every step of the way.
But what does that? Okay. Yes. What does that mean, though? Like, does standing shoulder to shoulder mean you're instructing the city attorney to sue the administration if they come after? Because like,
there've already been lawsuits,
Doing that, okay.
so they're doing that. Our city attorney, our attorney general, and like I said, I'm in constant communication with our federal elected officials, with our state elected officials. I think they know where I stand. I am reaching out to community groups in the immigrant community, like how do we share messages? How do we keep each other informed? How do we, weed out rumors from what's actually going on the ground? So when our immigrant community is feeling fearful, that we get the right information, we have clear lines of communication, and we are working with those leaders in community constantly to make sure that we are all in lockstep.
okay, I have a couple more questions, and then we're gonna get to the audience Q&A. We haven't talked about downtown. Yeah, she's sad still. She's sad. Market Street still looks very empty. And also, like, yes, people voted for you, I think, as a change candidate, and they should be a little patient because you just started, right? So we shouldn't expect overnight all of the problems of the city just magically
Yeah.
are fixed. And
Yep.
what are you gonna do?
Downtown first Thursdays.
They don't know what it is.
Do you not know? Every first
Tell 'em.
Thursday, you know. So here's what we're doing about downtown. It's been reported that this is what I campaigned on a couple of things. One was that we need a downtown development corporation, modeled after what New York did after 9/11. And we are going to have a private-public partnership focused on our downtown core, Union Square, helping the financial district, with the 35% empty office space. How do we go recruit companies here? How do we go after artists and clean tech and different industries? And so we will be announcing that in the coming days. So the partnership is going to be. Not the partnership, the Downtown Development Corporation will be coming out with some news on that front. But I hate to sound like a broken record, but here's what you want me doing. Clean and safe streets, the behavioral health crisis, making sure that we can build more housing so this city becomes more affordable, that we can streamline permitting and get businesses and restaurants and bars up and running. We've teamed up with State Senator Scott Wiener on adding some more liquor licenses downtown, creating more nightlife, more entertainment zones, so that when people are like, okay, where should I relocate my business, or where should I start my business, or I've started my business because it's the home of AI and tech, and by the way, we are still the home of AI, which is driving a lot, then they want to stay here, or people want to move back here, and people are moving back here. We are getting word from people in New York, from Miami, from London, from different places around the world that San Francisco is on the rise, and then small businesses can thrive again. We in the government need to do the basics. We forgot that. We have not been doing the basics well for a very long time. We're going to do that well, and we're going to come roaring back. I believe that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing in your answer is the city government's responsibility, and you running the government, is to get the basics right.
Core services, right, yes.
I have a feeling that a fair bit of people voted for you because they wanted a change, but also you presented and present as someone with a lot of relationships in business.
Yep.
It's partly your family, it's partly
Yep.
Tipping Point,
Yep.
it's partly your je ne sais quoi, I don't know.
Should we show everybody how we're both dressed?
Get out! Get out! Out of my house! No. Like I
By
said,
the way,
London
remember-
Breed loved my outfit when I interviewed him. We love your outfit! Thank you.
Yeah, that's Manny.
Trying to find a man, Mayor. It says, okay, so are you using those relationships in business? I mean, clean and safe, yes, 100%. But also, like, are you calling CEOs and
Yes.
saying, remember
Yes.
me? You know,
in December,
come back.
in December, we were in the transition period. I was not yet mayor, and we worked our tails off. We were working night and day to resolve the longest hotel strike in our city's history. And it took a lot. It took Unite 2 had a huge role to play in it. Different, owners of hotels, although it got complicated with private equity firms and REITs and different public entities. We were able to get that done, and I did call on the relationships that I had, and we got that job done. We announced a downtown, a partnership for San Francisco modeled after what New York did 50 years ago during their really, really troubling times in the 70s in New York City. And we have 28 different business leaders that are coming together, and we have our first meetings over the next week where they have it, I'm going to it. This is an outside group, just business leaders. This is like the Sephora head and Williams-Sonoma and Gap and the Giants, and this is not just like a tech group, this is a business group. And business community has not spoken with one voice for quite some time, or a unified voice for some time. Someone was like, well, what about labor? Well, we're meeting with labor. Labor has a strong voice at the table. What about the nonprofit community? I'm sitting down with nonprofit leaders. But the business community, they had a couple of people over the last decade, 15 years, have done amazing things, but they were sort of like their own person. Now we have a group that is going to speak up, not about business interests, but what can help San Francisco. New York, it's been so effective there in good times and in bad times for mayors, for electeds. And so, we are putting, the relationships that we have, I think, to good use that will help lift up our city.
So you're saying you want us to be like New York? You don't have any new ideas over here? You got any novel ideas? You want us to be just like New York? What else you want us to be like New York?
New York is a great American city. It just happens to be the number 2 American city.
I have like one more question for you. Maybe after audience Q&A, can sneak in another one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna get up.
Of course.
I guess I want to ask you about like how you're doing inside, because like imagine it's just us, okay? Imagine it's like we're both tucked in our beds next to each other, and we're having a little pillow talk, next separate beds, and I'm just like, because here's the thing, we talked about a little bit in the closet, that closet. Everyone, not everyone, a lot of people don't know you yet.
Yeah.
A lot of people are reserving their judgment about you. It's a lot of vibes going on. There's a lot of vibiness. People are like, ooh, things are better, but it's the beginning.
Yep.
It's not necessarily gonna be this vibe for very long. And so, how are you, that's probably what's gonna happen. Potentially.
The good vibes can continue.
They can, but let's assume they don't.
For our city.
Are you ready for that? And
Oh.
how are you preparing yourself for that?
Walk with me. I'd say 80% good vibes. Oh, I got people that are not vibing with me, and I can take it. I mean, this is a good question, because when I started the campaign, and I was on this stage, a year and a half ago, the biggest question I had was, could I take the hits? And I learned very quick. You learn quickly when you have 4 people coming at you day and night for months, whether or not you can take it. I can take it, and I could take it on the campaign, and now I can take it even more because I understand that now my job, it's not personal. I don't. People are gonna get to know me, but this is not. I don't take the hits on me personally because I think people look at a mayor as a mayor, and they don't look at them. It's not Daniel Lurie, it's the mayor, and I'm that part I'm starting to understand pretty well. And so in that respect, I can take the hits even easier than on the campaign. And it was not something I was sure about. And once again, I'm getting knocked left and right every hour of the day from different corners, and I still love the job, and I feel good, and I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you ask how I'm doing, like in my heart, like this city, when we're at our best, it's the greatest city in the world, and knowing that we can get back there and that we are going to get back there gives me all kind of the energy that I need.
Mayor of San Francisco, Louise, can you give me the disco mic? You've been a great audience. Thank you. We're going to do some Q&A. We have time for a little bit. You just need to go home soon. Oh, God. Okay, let's go to Precious. Is Michael, Precious over here? Oh, Precious, you want to just project? Wow, what's happening?
Oh, sorry.
Vibes.
Going in a bit of a different direction. This week, late last week, we heard even more revelations about for lack of a better term, corruption that took place within the Human Rights Commission. And then also there was the director of the Department of Women who was put on leave. And I was listening to Phil Matier this morning, and he talked about how a new study came out showing that San Francisco doesn't know how to handle its corruption. And over the last several years, I could go on and on and on. And so the resilience is great. I believe you. I saw your work in the nonprofit sector. Your love is clear, and you've amassed a personal team that is vibing. So tired of that word. But what are you doing, and how can you assure us as residents that the rot of corruption is being done?
It's a great question, Precious. I think we are focused on it every day, and I think it's who we brought and I put around me. I think once again, going back to how we've structured City Hall and having the 4 chiefs in place so that they can be checking in more often with departments. Departments are having to look each other across the room and talk to each other, and they're not just off in their own silos. There's better oversight that way, I believe. I think also, I'm not going to speak about anybody in the past, I'm just going to speak about me, and knowing that I, as mayor, am not beholden to any special interest group, anyone like that. I think helps. It's not enough. We're going to have metrics and accountability built into every contract that we have with third-party contractors, with nonprofits. But also our department heads need to be held accountable. And that is something that has not been happening for a long time. And that is where the chiefs come in. That's where the being with them regularly is really important. When we see it, we're going to call it out. And the stuff that you're reading about obviously happened in the past, and we also have a number of new department heads. And all I can tell you is that it is clear that if we've gotten waivers to go fundraise for the fentanyl state of emergency ordinance, and even with that, we are going to make sure that any dollar that comes in from the outside, you all will know about. And we're going to be as transparent as humanly possible when it comes to money in politics and money in the system.
Oops, sorry. Okay, a lot of hands. Marcia?
So I have
Got it? Okay.
I have a concern. First off, I hope you keep meditating because you're going to need it. So I have a concern, and my colleague, your doctor friend over here, has a question. So it's a two-part thing, but it'll be quick.
Singular question, please.
Okay. I worry, having been around for a long, long time in the addiction field, it kind of sounds like you're bringing back the war on drugs. So that's my concern.
Okay, so that's the question, and then let's answer it because we have to.
So in the outreach team meeting, I said this there. We have these DMAC, these coordinated meetings between law enforcement, public health, all these major departments focus on 6th Street and Market, and they've been meeting for the last 2 years. And I just assure you, it comes from the DA, the police chief, the sheriff. They all say the same thing. We're leading with services. We're leading with the fentanyl state of emergency is about standing up 1,500 shelter beds, mental health, drug treatment beds. That is the first option. Now, you and I were talking beforehand. We have 2 people a day, and actually in February it's more than 2 people a day dying of fentanyl overdose in San Francisco. It's unacceptable. And what we're doing is not working. I'll walk with you when we leave here 20 feet, and you see people openly using fentanyl below people that are living above them. We can't put up with that. And so it's not about, we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem. I don't want to put everybody in jail. I want to get people off the streets and into help. And that is the first goal. But forget the war on drugs. We're losing tens of thousands of people across this country, and we're losing 700 people a year. We have to do things differently.
All right, let's keep moving. Sorry. Okay, Louise is over there. We haven't gone to the back. Louise, the person right behind you. It's random, y'all. I'm just trying to get around the room. That's what's happening.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you talk about the convention situation, how that's going, and how having the conventions here can put money into the hotel tax fund, which would do a great job of supporting the artists and the arts organizations that are dying.
Love it. We so I think we have 600,000 room nights booked this year. I think we're up 30, maybe 40, and I'll check those numbers, but we're up this year over last year by a considerable amount. We had the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference to kick off the year. Went so well that they recommitted to coming back next year, which they were not going to do before coming. We had an incredible NBA All-Star game. I think they were expecting.
I didn't get my invitation to that one.
The NBA All-Star game? There was a weekend of activities, and Moscone Center was packed for 3 days. They hit record numbers in terms of what they were hoping to hit at Moscone. We won a conference back called the Human X Conference that was in Vegas. It's an AI conference. We announced at the conference in Vegas that they were coming to San Francisco next year. We won Databricks, a huge growing company, said that they were going to go to Vegas. They told me that in December. We won them over. They're here through 2030. We are winning conferences at a great clip. We have to do more. We have Super Bowl 60 coming to the San Francisco Bay Area next year. We have World Cup for 6 weeks next summer. We have a lot to look forward to.
Okay, person right next to me.
So much. I am so grateful that you put the emergency ordinance in place for the fentanyl crisis. As someone that's worked in addiction for over 10 years, and I've worked in the city, I really appreciate it. One of the things that I'm wondering is how can you marginalize, working with nonprofits is great. How can you work with other business leaders, stakeholders? How can they access you to provide more resources to fight this crisis? Because it's going to take a lot more than
an all hands on deck approach.
Right.
We have Kunal Modi is doing an incredible job. We have a new Department of Public Health head and Dan Tsai that really gets systems. But we have to meet people where they're at in terms of their acuity level. Some people are just so so into the fentanyl addiction that we need to meet them at one point, and then there's other drugs we have to meet. So we're all ears, and I hope you get a card from Fernando, and let's be in touch, and let's get everybody involved with that.
All right, let's go to the person. I'm going to make you work for it, Louise. All the way in the back with the straps.
Straps.
I don't.
So a couple months ago, I was at the Noe Valley Town Square Town Hall, and we had two police chiefs, one from Ingleside and one from Mission, and they were talking about the police issue, right? We didn't have enough even candidates applying. I think the figure was 40 candidates, only 12 passed.
Yeah.
And you brought it up at the beginning of the talk, is like, this is a huge issue, and afterwards I pulled one of them aside and we were talking about the PR crisis behind even wanting to apply to be a police officer, and this is a much bigger issue than just getting people through the process. What are you, as a mayor, going to do to help get more candidates in and boost the police force that we so desperately need?
Yeah. First off, great question. In January, we had a class of 55, the most full. You can't get more than that into a class, and it was the first time in 6 years we had a class of that size, and that started in mid to late January. I've been back a couple of times to see the classes. We're hoping, I believe, for 4 of those classes this year. Recruitment is up. I think making sure that, we're a city that you always want police oversight and police accountability, but we also want to support our law enforcement. And I think that is really important for them to hear, and they're hearing that from me. Someone came up to me and said, "You're very pro-cop." And I was like, yes, I'm going to be pro our law enforcement. I want them to have the tools they need to do their job. I want to make sure that we have oversight. And what I love about PD, and it's back to the question that was asked before, is all of our law enforcement officials also understand that what we're seeing on our streets is not a law enforcement issue, it's a public health crisis. And so for me, that's where we lead. But we also need officers walking the beat. We need officers also helping us enforce our traffic laws, because traffic fatalities were more than homicides last year. And so we have to always balance this, and we lost that balance when we went below 1,500 officers. You talking about conventions? Like, people coming from around the world for conventions or for tourism, they want to feel safe. And we became known as a city that wasn't. And now we have a story to tell, and that is that we are a very safe American city. We have a story to tell that conventions are coming back. But we also need our police to be able to do their job, and we need to recruit more, and we are, and we will get back there. It's going to take us time, and in the meantime, we need to use technology like the red light and the speed cameras that we just put up. I think that is going to be a huge help to traffic enforcement and traffic safety.
Okay, I'm just trying to move it around the room a little bit. Let's go right here, and let's try to maybe squeeze in one more question after that. And then, for those who haven't been able to ask a question, I'm going to ask the mayor for a little commitment here for coming back. So prepare yourself for that.
My name is Kristen. I'm a retired SF County city employee, a mother of an almost 13-year-old who has a lot of climate anxiety. And I'm just curious.
Climate?
Climate.
Okay.
And I'm curious if you're planning or if you've already joined the Climate Mayors Coalition.
You're going to have to tell me more details. I was just on the phone with the Secretary of Transportation for the state of California, talking about how we're going to host world leaders here for Climate Week in April. Really excited about that. We're leaning into that conference. I want us to lead on climate tech, on green tech. We just had just a few blocks from here, Revel just did 12 charging stations. We lost our lead on being the innovation capital of the world when it comes to the environment and the climate, and I want us to get back there. I had a meeting actually just a couple of weeks ago with some leaders in the energy and the power space, and how do we make sure we can lean on renewables, how do we have clean energy. So yes, we're committed to it. I talk about the 3 priority areas. But we do have a team working on this as well.
Okay, before we ask the last question, I always forget to do this. Encourage you to take a photograph. It doesn't have to be of me, it could be of the mayor. And then tag at Welcome to Manny's and at Daniel Lurie and share what you thought about tonight, because this
At Daniel Lurie SF.
at
Right?
Daniel Lurie SF. So do take a picture and
I
tag.
should put my jacket back on.
No, you're fine. Okay, this is just so hard. Person last over there, right behind you. Yes, and then I'm sorry, there's a lot of questions, but we have to end the talk.
Hi, this is Kat Montez with City Team San Francisco. I know you talk about the crisis and everything that's working on the streets, but I know you said 1,500 beds.
Yes.
There's a lot of vacant buildings in San Francisco, mainly in the Tenderloin, 6th Street. Have you guys ever considered converting those vacant buildings into these resources, the beds, providing shelters, things like
Yeah,
that?
we're looking at all options. Our team is out. We visited, I think, 70 different sites. We've gone through a whole process. We're working with community groups. We're working with supervisors on siting those beds. We'll look at existing shelters and adding more capacity in some new spots, but we're always on the lookout, especially not just for shelter, but also permanent housing as well. We can do a lot more on that front for sure.
All right, folks, we packed a lot into 50 minutes, I should say. And I want to say thank you, audience, for being
Yes, thank you
inquisitive,
very much.
respectful,
I really appreciate it.
demonstrating what we're all about very well.
I'll see the little one.
So,
I would like to
thank
offer
you.
this place as a home for you to continue to come back over the next 4, 8, maybe, hopefully, we'll see, 8 years. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, things that you're going to be launching, announcing. There's going to be stuff where people are going to have questions for you. And I want tonight to have demonstrated to you as mayor that this is a place where people will ask good questions, respectfully,
Yes.
to actually hear from the top of our city government what the answers are. So will you keep coming
I'll
back?
definitely keep coming back.
Very good.
I would like to close, and I appreciate you thanking everybody, because I really, once again, if you're in this room, not only do you love this city, but you care and you're doing something about it. I know that, I know a bunch of people in this room, so from me to all of you, thank you for what you do for San Francisco. Thank you for your commitment. As you said earlier, Manny, this is not a one-person job. This is going to take all of us, but we're going to do it. We're going to get back to our rightful place as the greatest city in the world, and we're going to do it together, and I can't wait. And Manny, keep doing what you're doing. And Manny, tomorrow night when you interview Ezra Klein, please wear shorter shorts.
Before everyone gets up, let's give the mayor the opportunity to exit. Caleb, just straight this way. So, sorry, if you don't mind, Professor, if you don't mind moving to the side. Okay, but we need to have you leave through the back. Mr. Mayor. Professor. Mr. Mayor, to the right. Okay, because he has to go to his next thing. I promise him you just want to be late to the next engagement. Thank you. While he does that, listen, it's a hot day. Guys, before you leave, tomorrow night we have Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. There are webcast tickets. If you cannot afford a ticket, please email Louise and Welcome to Manny's. We'll give you a free ticket to watch the event. It's going to be again the next time with Michael Pollan. Next week we have an entire week of events on housing. 5 days.
Yeah, let's go.
A debate